The word of Elohim is living and powerful, sharper than any double-edged sword, piercing even to the division of soul and spirit, bone and marrow, and a discerner of the thought and intent of the heart. He knows, Yahuwah, Yahusha knows what's inside. Nothing escapes his sight. Nothing is not in his purview, perspective. Nothing is out of his sphere of influence that he is not aware of. He is conscious, alive, and acutely, supremely, omnipotently, omnisciently aware of all things at all times. So there's no hiding from that. There's no, you don't fool Yahuwah. You may fool your fellow man, but there's no sidestepping on the Supreme Elohim. He who breathes life, he who brings into existence, he who creates. Nor the Son, the perfect Lamb of Yahuwah, Yahuwah manifest in the flesh. The Word made flesh, for in the beginning there was the Word, and the Word was with Yahuwah, and the Word was Yahuwah, and the Word was made flesh, and the Word is Yahusha, Hamashiach, the Messiah. And so, you may seek to disguise or put a mask on or wear a costume over your heart so that you can fool your fellow man. But there's no tricking Yahuwah, Yahusha. He knows your heart. His sight pierces, infiltrates, and exposes what's in your soul, what's in your spirit. And so we should never seek. It's not. So most of us, and again, when I talk here, I'm talking of me. And if it resonates with you, then you. If not, all good. I'm just holding up a mirror to myself and speaking of my own life, my own thoughts, my own inner journey, my own conversations with Yahuwah, Yahusha. So I'm not pointing the finger because I know there's 10 pointing back at me. But we should not be seeking to change the minds of our fellow man, such that we shift in some way or influence or persuade their judgment or their view, their perspective on who we are. We should work on our hearts, our soul, and our spirit. And we should look to change the inner man so that the inner man is good, wholesome, and pure. It matters not what the outer man looks like to the world. We should not be concerned with what the world thinks of us. We shouldn't be concerned when you are in Yahusha HaMashiach and you're this steadfast, this vociferous, this convicted, this full of life and enthusiasm for Yahusha, for Yahuwah. The world might think you're crazy. The world might think you're a zealot. The world might think you're foolish because you're not You're not wise in the ways of this world. You're not scientific. You're not logical. You're not rational. As Yahuwah judges, as Yahuwah discerns, as Yahuwah sees all things, it matters not what the wise ones of this world think. As Paul said, the wise ones of this world, they are foolish, and the foolish are truly wise. The low will be brought high, the high low. The esteemed will be rendered asunder. And the humble esteemed in the eyes of Yahuwah Yahusha. So it matters not what the world thinks of us. In our intensity, in our passion, in our love for Yahuwah Yahusha, we love him with all of our heart, souls, minds, and strength. We need only be concerned with the inner man, not the outer man. So what is your heart? Where's your heart at? Where's your soul at? Where's your spirit at? That's what we need to pay attention to. Because again, Yahuwah Yahusha's word is sharper. It's living and powerful and sharper than any two-edged sword. And it is piercing even to the division of soul and spirit, bone and marrow, and a discerner of all thoughts and intent of the heart. He knows what's in your heart. So what's in your heart? That's what we need to be concerned about. Is our heart in Yahuwah Yahusha? Is our soul in Yahuwah Yahusha? Is our spirit in Yahuwah Yahusha? Or is our heart in that simple core commandment that we love him with all of our heart, souls, minds, and strength, and we love our fellow man as we love ourselves, such that we're nurturing ourselves so we can nurture our fellow man, strengthening ourselves so we can strengthen our fellow man. And how do we strengthen ourselves? With Yahuwah Yahusha. He strengthens us. We are weak. Our bodies are weak, but in Yahuwah Yahusha, our bodies are strong. Our will is weak, but in Yahuwah Yahusha, our will is strong, because it's his will that lives within us. And I pray that he dissolves my ego, that he demolishes my ego, that he obliterates my ego to the extent that I become a pure instrument of his will, a pure vessel for his message. I pray that his will be done in me, that his will be done on earth as it is in heaven. For in Yahuwah Yahusha my will is strong. My spirit is weak, but in Yahuwah Yahusha my spirit is strong. Unstoppable, unconquerable, undeniable, unassailable. In Yahuwah Yahusha we are relentless, we are ceaseless, we are undaunted. And so we need to look. We need to look in our whole, at our own hearts, not the hearts of others, in our own hearts. We need to work on the inner man. The outer man will take care of itself. We need not be concerned with that. We need to work on the inner man, our hearts, our souls, our spirits. That's what we need to nurture with the word, with the good news, with the Beshorah, if I'm saying it correctly, with his phrases, his parables, his teachings. It's all there for us. It's all there. So there's no need for confusion. There's no need for wondering. There's no need to figure it out. It's there for us. His words, his life, his teachings. We don't need the gurus. We don't need the senseis. We don't need the magi. We don't need the yogi. We don't need the mentors. We don't need the false prophets. We don't need the rabbis, the priests, the so-called fathers. There's only one Father. There's only one Abba. Yahuwah Yahusha. Our Father, our teacher. All things at all times. He nourishes the heart. He nourishes the soul. And so if you find that your heart is hard, is poured over with concrete because you've been hardened by the ways of this world, such that you've been clawing and scratching and cannibalizing and conquering and dominating and seeking to get ahead in this world, storing up your treasure in this world, such that you've become callous and uncaring and unmerciful because you've found that you've had to be single-minded such that you care not for anything else or anyone else in this life so that you can make your way to the top of the mountain. If you find that is what you've had to become to get ahead in this life, such that now your heart is so rough and tough that it is not open, that it is not caring, that it is not merciful, that it is not accepting of the word, the way, the truth, and the life, and you don't know where to begin and you don't know how to start, such that your heart can become open, because you know your heart is unfulfilled. You know your heart has a chasm in it the size of the Grand Canyon. You know your soul is wounded to the degree that it hurts, it longs, it thirsts, it hungers for something. That's why you're searching for everything. You're searching materially in this world for things that will fill it up. You're searching for riches, you're searching for accomplishments, you're searching for trophies, you're searching for championships, you're searching for challenges, you're searching for meaning, you're searching for purpose, you're seeking everything but the true answer, because you think the answer lies here in this hallucination, in this mirage, in this false reality. You think it's here, but it's not, and you know it's not because you continue to seek no matter what you gain. You continue to seek with no answers, only more questions. Every time you open one door, there's another closed in front of you. It never ends. Every time you get to the top of one mountain, you find you're at the bottom of another. And so if you're there, at that place, at that time, where finally you realize you've tried it your way and you can't find the answer, that for decades you've been searching and you have not found, and that your heart still hungers and thirsts and longs for the way, the truth, and life. If you come to that point, but you're wondering how, it's very simple. If your heart is closed off, hardened, calloused, there's a way to unlock it. There's a way to open it up. There's a way to soften the heart and bring it back to life. It's very simple. Ask Him. Ask Him. Ask Him from a pure place. Ask Him from an honest position. Ask Him from a place of truth. From a place where you truly mean it. From a place where you're not faking it till you're making it. No. Come to Him on your knees, really seeking the answer. Ask Him to soften your heart. Ask Him to open your heart. Ask Him to purify your heart, to make your heart righteous and true and justified. Ask Him to sanctify your heart. And that's how it happens. Because here's the thing. If you're asking, it's because you want your heart to finally be softened. You want your heart to be unhardened. You want to care. You want to be merciful. You want to feel His love and His healing. You want Him to enter your heart and fill it up with His love and His strength and His glory. You want that. And if you want that, you're going to get it. That's how it works. If you're coming to him, it's because you want him. And if you want him, you will get him. Because he will descend upon you. He will enter your heart. He will occupy your soul and your spirit. And he will fill you with the Ruach HaKodesh, the set-apart spirit. And you will feel alive for the first time in your life. And then, when he peers into your soul, you're okay with that now. You're no longer afraid. You have no more fear. You have no more worry. You have no more anxiety. You have no more frustration. You no longer wonder. You no longer seek the answer. You receive it all the healing, all the epiphanies, all the revelations. You receive everything new you've ever needed and more, and all is revealed to you. All the answers you've ever sought, all the questions, all of it, they're gone. And imagine every day more epiphanies, more revelations, because you go through this catharsis daily. You nourish your soul daily. You render yourself on your knees daily to him, confessing to him all that you were, because you finally feel the shame and the guilt for what it was you were, for how you acted, for how you conducted yourself on this planet, conquering, slashing, burning all only to your benefit. Now you render yourself on your knees, seeking his guidance so that you live for him, so that you live in a manner where you can please him most, and in confessing to him and asking for his absolution, it is granted. You need not the forgiveness or absolution of any man. You do not need the esteem of man. You need the absolution, forgiveness, and redemption that only he can deliver, and he delivers. He delivers like a tidal wave washes over you. And you have more than you could ever imagine, such that your cup runneth over, and you're out here shouting from the rooftops, sharing the good news, because you're compelled to, because you have too much of it. You're alive. You're more alive than you've ever been, and you want to share that good news. You want to share that motivation. You want to share that inspiration. You want to share that encouragement. You truly want to lift your fellow man higher and higher and higher, so that they can see that there is a path to the kingdom to come, where there is no more worry, frustration, anxiety, where there's no more longing, thirsting, hungering, where there's no more war or misery, pain or suffering, murder or death, illness or disease. There's no more sorrow, hatred. There's no more evil or sin, no more devil, Satan, Lucifer, or demons, no more haters, detractors, psychic vampires, and negative influences, no more corruptors, misleaders, evildoers. There is no more deceit or deception. There is no more decadence or depravity, defilement or debasement. None of it. It's all crushed beneath his feet. And he lives amongst us once again. Yahuwah Yahusha lives among us once again. And there's only everlasting peace, everlasting joy, everlasting healing, everlasting love, everlasting life. And where we can love him, because he lives amongst us once again, we can love him, honor him, worship him, glorify him, praise him. Imagine that. Imagine that. Face to face with our salvation, with our redemption, with our deliverer, with the supreme Elohim, the Most High, in a manner that pleases him most, because we're perfect again like we were in Eden before we were misled by the serpent and cast out, forced to wander this land and make our way by the sweat of our brow, such that we were desperate, such that we were defiled and depraved in the way we attempted to conquer this planet, crushing everything before us, conquering, claiming dominion, cannibalizing, clawing and scratching, until we realized that there was a way in Yahuwah. And the covenants that he made with Noah, with Moses, and then the new covenant that absolved all of us finally if we come into Yahuwah Yahusha, such that on our knees we are saved in all confession to Yahuwah Yahusha. No man, no guru, no holy one, no wise one, only Yahuwah Yahusha, pouring out our heart, asking for his forgiveness, receiving his love, his healing, his redemption, praying on how grateful we are because we have more than we could have ever imagined, such that our cup overflows and we have to share. There's just so much of it. and then finally surrendering to him completely, completely surrendering, and asking for him to guide us and direct us on how to live our lives in a manner that pleases him most, and in such we are most pleased. We are pleased most. We have peace and solace. There's no longer any question of what's in our heart. We know our heart is true. We know our soul is honest. We know our spirits have integrity. We know we live in him and he lives within us. And so all is right, because when we are walking with Yahuwah Yahusha, all is right in our world, because he is the light of this life, such that when it smashes, when the light of Yahuwah Yahusha smashes into the darkness, darkness dissolves, dissipates, it is destroyed once and forever, and we are bathed in his light. We are bathed and healed in his light, and comforted in his light, and warmed by his light, and his light, the light of the Ruach HaKodesh, the set-apart spirit, bursts forth from within us. An infinite number of rays shining bright for others to see. Those who are now where we once were, hopeless, anxious, addicted, bereft, seeking, searching, wondering, aimlessly, without purpose. That light is for them like a beacon. Their ships lost out at sea, and they're looking, they're longing, they're thirsting for the way, the truth, and the life, and they see us, that light bursting forth. And it's like a lighthouse, a beacon for them, because they know that, wait, there is someone who was once like they were, but who is now alive, who is now motivated, inspired, who is now encouraged, who is saved. And if a wretch like me, if a wretch like you, if a wretch like us can be saved, then they can be saved. And so we no longer have to question if our hearts are right, if our hearts are true, because he lives within us. And so we're no longer fearful. We're no longer frustrated, anxious. We're no longer aimless. We're filled with purpose. We're filled with conviction. We're filled with motivation and inspiration. We're filled with joy, because he lives within our heart. He lives within our heart. And so the fact that he sees, that his living and powerful word is sharper than any two-edged sword, and it pierces even to the division of our soul and spirit, bone and marrow, and that it is discerning the thoughts and intent of our heart, that ideal, that concept, that realization fills us with joy, fills us with peace and solace, because we know what he sees is him. We know what he sees is true. We know what he sees is pure and righteous and justified and sanctified, because we live in him and he lives in us. And so we don't have to worry about that any longer. But if you're worried, if you're anxious, if you're concerned that your heart is defiled and depraved and decadent, if you're fearful, and you should be, that doesn't mean we no longer fear Yahuwah Yahusha. Just as we love Yahuwah Yahusha, we always fear Yahuwah Yahusha, such that we should ever stray from this path and allow the evil ones of this world to enter us, to overtake us, to possess us, to influence us or persuade us. So have no doubt about this. We should always fear and at the same time love Yahuwah with all of our heart, soul, mind, and strength, such that we stay on the path that is true and narrow. And narrow. It's a narrow path, a narrow gateway to enter. Narrow is the entrance to the kingdom to come. And so but the good news is the path is lit up for us. We know the way, the truth, and life. We have the blueprint. We have the instructions. He gave it to us. He gave it to us. He made it super simple. Right? Love him. Love Yahuwah Yahusha with all our heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love our fellow men as we love ourselves. If you love Yahuwah Yahusha with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, you'll follow his commandments. If you love Yahuwah Yahusha with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, you'll love your fellow man. As you love yourself, you'll nurture yourself so you can nurture your fellow man. And it all loops in on itself. That is, from there is the fount from all good things. So the good news is, we don't have to wonder, we don't have to question, we don't have to figure it out. We need no man's instructions, teachings. We need no plans that they can sell us. No, we don't need the word of the Pharisees and the Sadducees and the scribes. Woe to you, Pharisees, lying, hypocritical. We don't need that. We don't need the false prophets. We don't need the fake gurus. We don't need the lying preachers. We don't need any of them. We don't need any of them. He lives within us, and he's already given us his word, his way, his truth, and his life. He's already given us the good news. He's already given us the commandments. We know. So that path, we know how to follow it. It's lit up because he lives within us, and that Ruach HaKodesh, that light is so bright, it is shining over us. It is warming us, it is comforting us, it's living within us, healing us from inside and outside, bursting forth so that others can see that, as we can live as an example for when they see our encouragement, our motivation, our inspiration, when they see how alive and healed we are, they know that they too can be healed, that they too can be alive, that they too can be saved because we are saved. Because if we can be saved, they can be saved. And so the light that shines on us, that lives within us and bursts forth, is also shining bright on that path. And so we know how to get through that narrow gate and into the kingdom to come, where there is everlasting love, everlasting peace, everlasting joy, everlasting healing, and everlasting life. And where Yahuwah Yahusha lives among us once again, and we can love, honor, worship, glorify, and praise him with all of our heart, soul, mind, and strength in a manner that pleases him most. We know how to do this, but if you are fearful that your heart is not true, if you are worried that your soul is not credible, if you are anxious about the fact that your spirit may be sullied, let alone broken, or even worse, soaked in evil and temptation and lust and decadence and depravity, worry not. Worry not. Because you can be cleansed. You can be purified. You can be sanctified. You can be justified. And you can be righteous. He can wash over you with his life, his love, and his glory, and make you clean, make you pure, make you righteous. You just have to ask. Just have to ask. And you will receive more than you can ever imagine. And you will no longer wonder what it is he sees in your heart. You will no longer be concerned about what it is he sees in your heart. You will no longer be anxious about what he sees in your heart, because you will know that he knows that your heart is pure, that your heart is true, that your heart is credible, that your heart is loving, and that your heart is healed, and that he lives within you. So don't live like this any longer. Don't live with that pain. Don't live with that frustration. Don't live with that anxiousness. Don't live with that worry. Don't live with that fear. And I don't mean the fear of Yahuwah. That's a good fear. That's the kind of fear you should have, because if you fear him, you will certainly respect him. And if you respect him, you will certainly honor him. And if you love him, you will certainly dedicate your life to him. And you will love him with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. And you will love your fellow man as you love yourself. No. We're talking about terrorizing, horrifying, soul-crushing fear. The fear that you're wicked. The fear that you're evil. The fear that you are so decadent and depraved that you are beyond hope. Fear not, because you are not beyond hope. You are not beyond the point of no return. You are not lost, not to him, not to Yahuwah Yahusha, for he will deliver your heart, your soul, and your spirit to the kingdom to come. He who saves will save you. He who delivers will deliver you. He who redeems will redeem you. And the only price you pay is asking. And it'll be the easiest thing you ever do and the hardest thing you ever do. And it'll be your greatest obligation, but your greatest joy to pay it forward. So let us walk stronger than ever, more alive than ever, more encouraged, motivated, and inspired than ever, as we move and groove relentlessly, ceaselessly, unconquerably, undeniably, unassailable, unstoppable, undeniable, to kingdom come.